9th of May in the jungle of Newell, in the heat of the day in the cool of the pool, he was splashing, enjoying the jungle's great joys when Horton the elephant heard a small noise. So Horton stopped splashing. He looked towards the sound. That's funny, thought Horton. There's no one around. Then he heard it again, just a very faint yelp, as if some tiny person was calling for help. I'll help you, said Horton. But who are you? Where? He looked and looked. He could see nothing there but a small speck of dust blowing past through the air. Well, I say, warned Horton, and I heard tell of a small speck of dust that was able to yell. So you know what I think? Well, I think there must be someone out on top of that small speck of dust. Some sort of creature of very small size, too small to be seen by an elephant's eyes. Some poor little person who's shaking with fear, and he'll blow into the pool. He has no way to steer. I'll just have to save him, because after all, a person's a person, no matter how small. So gently and using the greatest of care, the elephant stretched his great trunk through the air, and he lifted the dust speck and carried it over and placed it down on a soft, safe clover. Harumph! Humped a voice. 'Twas a sour kangaroo. The young kangaroo in her pouch said, Harumph too! Why, that speck of dust is as small as the head of a pin. A person on that? Why, there never has been. Oh, believe me, said Horton, I tell you sincerely, my ears are quite keen and I heard them quite clearly. I know there's a person there, and what's more, quite likely there's two, even three, even four, quite likely a family, for all we know, a family with children just starting to grow. So please, Horton said, as a favor to me, try not to disturb them, just please let them be. I think you're a fool, laughed the sour kangaroo, and the young kangaroo in her pouch said, Me too! You're the biggest blam fool in the jungle of Newell. And the kangaroos plunged in the cool of the pool. Oh, what terrible splashing! The elephant frowned. I can't let my very small persons get drowned. I've got to protect them. I'm bigger than they. So he plucked up the clover and he hustled away. Through the high jungle treetops, the news quickly spread. He talks to dust specks. He's out of his head. Just look at him walk with that speck on the flower. Horton walked worrying almost an hour. Shall I put the speck down? Horton thought with alarm. If I do, these small persons may come to harm. I can't put them down, and I won't. After all, a person's a person, no matter how small. Then Horton stopped walking. The speck voice was talking. The voice was so faint he could just barely hear it. Speak up, please, Horton, said Horton. He put his ear near it. My friend, came the voice. You're a very fine friend. You've helped all us folks on this dust speck to no end. You saved all our houses and ceilings and floors. You saved all our churches and grocery stores. You mean, Horton gasped, you have buildings there too? Oh yes, piped the voice. We most certainly do. I know. I'm too small to be seen, but I'm a mayor of a town that's friendly and clean. Our buildings to you would seem terribly small, but to us, who aren't very big, they are wonderfully tall. My town is called Whoville, for I am a Who, and we Whos are all thankful and grateful to you. And Horton called back to the mayor of the town, Well, you're safe. Don't worry, I won't let you down. But just as he spoke to the mayor of the speck, 3 big jungle monkeys climbed up Horton's neck. The Wickersham brothers came shouting, What rot! This elephant talks to who's who are not. There ain't any who's and they don't have a mayor. And we're going to stop all this nonsense, so there! They snatched Horton's clover. They carried it off to the black-bottom eagle named Vladikoff. A mighty strong eagle of very swift wing, and they said, Will you kindly get rid of this thing? And before poor Horton could even speak, that eagle flew off with the flower in his beak. All the late afternoon, far into the night, that black-bottomed bird flapped his wings in fast flight, while Horton chased after him with groans over stones that tattered his toenails and battered his bones and begged, Please don't harm all my little folks, who has as much of a right to live as us bigger folks do. But far, far beyond him, the eagle kept flapping, and over his shoulder called back, "Quit ya yappin'. I'll fly the night through. I'm a Boyd and I don't mind it. I'll hide this tomorrow where you'll never find it." And at 6:56 the next morning he did it. It sure was a terrible place that he hid in. He let that small clover drop somewhere inside of a great patch of clovers 100 miles wide. "Find that," sneered the bird, "but I think you will fail." And he left with a flip of his black-bottomed tail. "I'll find it," cried Horton. "I'll find it or I'll bust. I shall find my friends on that small speck of dust." And clover by clover by clover with care, he picked and searched them all and called, "Are you there?" But clover by clover by clover he found that the one that he sought for was just not around. And by noon poor Horton, more dead than alive, had picked, searched, piled 9,005. Then on into the afternoon, hour after hour, till he found them at last on the 3,000,000th flower. "My friends," called the elephant, "tell me, do tell, are you safe? Are you sound? Are you whole? Are you well?" From down on the speck came the voice of the mayor. "We've really had trouble, much more than our share, when the black-bottomed birdie let go and we dropped. We landed so hard that our clocks have all stopped. Our teapots are broken and our rocking chairs smashed, and our bicycle tires all blew up when we crashed. So Horton, please," pleaded the mayor, "will you stick by us who's while we are making repairs?" "Oh, of course," Horton answered. "Of course. I'll stick by you small folks through thin and through thick." "Harumph!" humped a voice. "For almost 2 days you've run wild insisting on chatting with persons who've never existed. Such carryings-on in our peaceable jungle! We've had quite enough of your bellowing bungle, and I'm here to state," snapped the big kangaroo, "that your silly nonsensical game is all through." And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, "Me too." With the help of Wickersham brothers and dozens of Wickersham uncles and Wickersham cousins and Wickersham in-laws, whose help I've engaged, you are going to be roped and you are going to be caged. And as for your dust speck, ha! That we shall boil in hot steaming kettle of beezelnut oil. "Boil it?" gasped Horton. "Oh, no, that you simply cannot do. It's full of persons. They'll prove it to you." "Oh, Mr. Mayor! Mr. Mayor!" Horton called. "Mr. Mayor, we've got to prove now that you really are there. So call a big meeting. Get everyone out. Make every who holler. Make every who shout. Make every who scream. If you don't, every who is going to end up in beezelnut stew." And down on the dust speck the scared little mayor quick called a big meeting in Hooverville Town Square. And his people cried loudly, they crowded in fear, "We're here, we're here, we're here, we're here." The elephant smiled. "Well, that was clear as a bell. The kangaroo surely heard that very well." "All I heard," snapped the big kangaroo, "was the breeze and the fair sound of the wind through the fair distant trees. I heard no small voices, and you didn't either." And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, "Me neither." "Grab him!" they shouted, "and cage that big dope. Lasso his stomach with 10 miles of rope. Tie those knots tight so he'll never shake loose. Then dunk that dumb speck in beezelnut juice." Horton fought back with great vigor and vim, but the Wickersham gang was too many for him. They beat him, they mauled him, they started to haul him into the cage, but he managed to call out to the mayor, "Don't give up! I believe in you all! A person's a person, no matter how small! And you very small persons will not have to die if you make yourselves heard, so come on now and try!" The mayor grabbed a tom-tom, he started to smack it, and all over Whoville they whooped up a racket. They rattled in tin kettles, they beat on brass pans, on garbage pail tops, and old cranberry cans. They blew on bazookas and blasted great toots, on clarinets and oompas and poompas and flutes. Great gusts of loud racket rang high through the air. They rattled and shook the whole sky, and the mayor called up through the howling mad hullabaloo,
"Hey, Horton, how is this? Is our sound coming through?"
And Horton called back, "Well, I can hear it just fine, but the kangaroo's ears aren't as strong as mine. They don't hear a thing. Are you sure all your boys are doing their best? Are they all making noises? Are you sure every who down in Whoville is working? Quick, look through the town. Is there everyone sharking?" Through the town rushed the mayor from east to west, but everyone seemed to be doing their best. Everyone seemed to be yapping or yipping. Everyone seemed to be beeping or bipping, but it wasn't enough. All this ruckus and roar, he had to find someone to help him make more. He raced through each building and searched floor by floor. And just as he felt as he was getting nowhere, and almost about to give up in despair, he suddenly burst through the door, and the mayor discovered one shirker, quite hidden away in Fairfax apartment 12J, a very small shirker named Jojo was standing, just standing and bouncing a yo-yo, not making a sound, not a yip, not a chirp. And the mayor rushed inside and grabbed that young twerp. And he climbed with the lad up the iceberg tower.
"This," cried the mayor, "is your town's darkest hour. The time for all who have blood that is red to come to the aid of the country," he said. "We've got to make noises in greater amounts, so open your mouth, lad, for every voice counts."
Thus he spoke as he climbed. When they got to the top, the lad cleared his throat, and he shouted,
"Yup."
And that yup, that one small extra yup, put it over. Finally, at last, from that speck on the clover, their voices were heard. They rang out clear and clean, and the elephant smiled. "Do you see what I mean? They've proved that they are persons, no matter how small, and their whole world was saved by the smallest of all." "How true! Yes, how true!" said the big kangaroo. "And from now on, you know what I'm planning to do? From now on, I'm going to protect them with you." And the young kangaroo in her pouch said,
"Me too! From the sun in the summer, from the rain when it's fallish, I'm going to protect them no matter how smallish."